Welcome to Forest.chat, where we talk about individual endeavour in Western Australia, what it takes, what it means, and how you do it. I'm your host, Paul Vandermeer, and in today's episode, we'll be talking with Rhonda Finnie about escaping the crowds. Rhonda started getting away camping from her late teens, at first with her friends, and later with her children, and eventually grandchildren, spending many enjoyable weeks seaside north of Geraldton. Nowadays, she enjoys exploring the Wheatbelt, Goldfields and Pilbara. Welcome to Forest.chat, Rhonda.
Thank you, Paul. It's great to be here on Forest.chat. I'm looking forward to sharing my experience of escaping the crowds.
Rhonda, great to have you here. And people get away camping with everything from a tent, a rooftopper, a camper trailer, a caravan, glamping, or staying in hotels. How do you go camping?
Well, at the current time, we have a hybrid caravan and an off-road vehicle, and that's what we use to escape the crowds, because that's our primary goal. So we normally head out towards the Wheatbelt, the Goldfields, or the Pilbara, because there's a lot of hidden gems out there that not a lot of people know about, and that's what we like to do.
Okay, and what sort of things have you found out there that are hidden gems?
Well, there's things like namaholes, which are collections of water in some of the rocks that we visit. There's often abandoned buildings and just interesting spaces to explore. Different types of vegetation. It's amazing really how the vegetation can change in a matter of kilometres. One moment you'll be driving through red dirt and the next it may be white or yellow sand.
So where do you see that sort of thing happening?
Well, it's all over Australia. All over Western Australia.
Okay, so just as you're driving off-road, because, I mean, my experience is driving on the highways and, you do see different colours. Collie has got its coffee rock roads and things like that. You see different types of road surfaces, but not really changing in that sort of time frame, That sounds very, very close together.
Yeah, well, we have experienced it quite often in the Wheatbelt area. You'd just be going down the gravel road and the road would change to more sand. And the vegetation on the sides of the road we might be travelling changes as well, from, small shrubs to larger trees. And, of course, as you're travelling with these often green fields around you, you can see where the creeks and rivers lay because of the tall trees in that area.
How do the trees tell you where the waterways are?
Because there's usually more trees in the area, because obviously they are looking for water. So on the lower lying areas, there's more abundance of trees.
Okay, so you see more trees and you expect to find a waterway or something in those areas.
Yeah, at least a low-lying area. You may not always have water because, Western Australia is quite dry, but there's definitely a small valley or dip, and that's where the taller trees would be. So,
Rhonda, when you're out there, what do you eat and how do you charge your phone and all that stuff?
With our setup, we've got an off-grid setup, so we have solar panels and batteries, and so, it's quite easy for us to run fridges, charge our appliances, charge our drones, and then, of course, we've got gas to cook our meals on. But we also use campfires quite often for cooking our meals, Nothing tastes better, really, than food cooked on the campfire, and dampers and stuff. They just have a different flavour, really. And it's just the beauty of being able to sit around a campfire and cook your food seems just more primal, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, especially if you're out under the stars. Should ask about that too. When do you go?
We go all year. During the winter months and that it can get quite cold out there, but the days are beautiful. And, looking up at the stars at night, it's just so crystal clear because there's no light coming from other areas. Because although we have lights on our caravan, we often have them off and then just enjoy the darkness, really.
So really living by the cadence of the sun.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you sleep better?
Definitely sleep better. I think, you're relaxed and it's quiet. So, yeah, sleep is something we definitely get done well out there.
Fantastic. And then are you up super early, or is it something that you wake up with the sun as well?
Well, you go to sleep early and you wake up early. And it's beautiful, the sun rises in the morning, and you may have a little mist around or might be icy cold in the morning, especially in the winters in the wheat belt area. But it's just so beautiful and all the vegetation's shining and the birds are singing and, it's really magical. And it just makes you feel relaxed.
And sounds like not a care in the world.
No. All you need to worry about is making sure that you've got everything you need and, yeah, it can just be relaxing.
And you talked about cooking over a campfire. That's a whole experience in and of itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a different way of cooking. It's something that you have to get used to because, you don't have a temperature gauge to see how hot your camp oven might be to bake bread. You just have to wing it. Usually you can smell if it's just about cooked. And sometimes, you get a little extra charcoal in your meals. But that's the fun of it, I suppose.
Kids know charcoal is good for them.
Yeah, that's right.
And what sort of thing do you do while you're out there?
Well, we try to either walk around or drive around to places we might have picked out on the maps or by using the drone and just going out exploring those places. So, there may be a creek in the distance where you might be able to even throw a fishing line out or a net to get some yabbies or something. There's quite a bit to do. And just, walking over the rocks and things, you find interesting formations in the rocks and usually awesome views.
Fantastic. What's the highest up that you've been?
Wow. Well, I don't really know the elevation of some of those rocks we've climbed. Some we haven't climbed was Mount Augustus because I think that was a bit too strenuous for me. There's some pretty large rocks around the Wheatbelt area. Balaji Rock, that's quite a tall one with magnificent views. And it's quite a massive rock as well. We did once actually walk around that rock and it took us like a couple of hours to just walk around there. And then there's Ella Butting Rock, and that actually has a wave in the rock. Like Wave Rock is very well known rock for its wave formation, but Ella Butting Rock has one that is equally impressive.
And I've never heard of it before.
No, there's a lot of places that people probably haven't heard the names of. And the shires and that also have amazing camping grounds. They may have toilets and campfire pits and, they're nice, clean areas and they're free. A lot of them are free. So,
oh, wow. Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah.
It probably costs them more to try and charge for it than it does to just let people be there.
Yeah, you do have some places that you can make a donation. So they'll just have a tin as you drive in and, you can put a donation there. And we do always try to do that because to keep these campgrounds open is important so that everyone can get to use them. So you have to respect those places.
Absolutely. So, Rhonda, what does it take you to be an escape artist getting out there into the wilds.
So really it takes a strong sense of adventure, because you want to be looking for places to go that are off the beaten track. You need to have a love to travel, love of nature. You need a lot of patience as well, because sometimes those remote areas can be quite difficult to get to, and you may only be travelling at about 10 kilometres an hour to get where you want to go.
So why would you be going so slowly?
Well, just because the tracks are quite rough, overgrown, with branches, so you may have to do some clearing to get through. Yeah, so you just have to go slowly.
Okay, I guess there's a bit of vehicle preservation in that, and if you've got things in your way to get them out of the way, that sort of all takes time. Yeah,
that's right.
So it's almost like a labour of love to get there.
It can be with some locations. So, and I suppose you have to be really comfortable with being in a remote area, because if there's an emergency, there's usually not help nearby, or you may not have reception to be able to call someone. So in that case, we have a spot locator beacon that we always take with us. And we also have Starlink, although that takes a little while to set up, but we have it if we need to use it.
Okay, and what's the most difficult situation you found yourself in?
So we found ourselves in a position where we couldn't actually turn our rig around. It took a lot of manoeuvring to actually finally turn it. So, and I suppose in a way it's quite lucky that we have a pop-top van, because if we had a full-height van, we wouldn't be dragging it out of there. There was one other time we were Ningaloo and we were wanting to go to Warra Station using the chicken track along the beach. Anyway, so we were driving along, and it was quite rough, slow going. But then we came across a sand drift and we thought, oh, well, we had a looked all right. We went over that sand drift, came across another sand drift, and then suddenly, we were bogged. There was nowhere to go. In those days, we had a 3-ton caravan. So we were trying to dig it out. We had our recovery boards out. We weren't getting anywhere very quickly. So we ended up having to detach the car from the caravan, putting the caravan jockey wheel into an Esky that we had, taking the car round the back of the caravan, hooking up the winch, and then just dragging the caravan about, 400 metres out of the sand drift.
Going backwards.
That was probably the scariest thing. Although positives were we had awesome phone reception, awesome view, and lots to eat and drink. So we could have stayed there.
Every cloud has a silver lining.
So, yeah, well, that's right. So, but to, get recovered in a remote area like that would be very expensive. We were lucky we got ourselves out. No one else came through that day.
Wow. So the whole time you're on that road, you didn't see anyone else?
No, and it took us 4 to 5 hours to get ourselves out.
And when you say get ourselves out, who was that?
Oh, so that was Rob, my husband, and I, and we were just digging and trying to drag that caravan out.
Wow.
First the car, actually, and then the caravan. So
just with the two of you,
yeah.
So it's like you want 10 hands and you've got 4.
Yeah, and as it gets hotter during the day, the sand gets softer, and it's as you dig it, it just keeps falling back into the hole. So maybe we would have been better off waiting till it cooled down, but when you're in that situation, you just want to get out.
Yeah, I'm sure. Sounds like the Dakar rally or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But
So,
without the assistance helicopter.
yeah, yeah, exactly. We could have done with that. So, anyway, so that's why it's important to have recovery gear.
And are there any other uncomfortable things about being in the remote areas that you need to be?
Yeah, well, you got to be comfortable with not having a shower every day because, there's just not enough water for that. You need to keep your water for drinking, not for showering. So, unless you're lucky enough to be by a creek, you can use creek water to have a bath, but otherwise it's wet wipes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And then of course all your the shower side of things, but the toilet side of things as well.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, we have portable toilet with us. Thank goodness, because, for us at least, gone are the days of a shovel and go dig a hole. Um, because that's a lot of people still do that, but we don't.
Okay, so you've gone the comfort route for that.
Definitely. Yeah. Can't squat like I used to.
And what do you find to be the most exciting aspect of these escapes that you go on?
Well, it's really being out there, and nature just gives you so much, gives the feeling of being out there, and the vegetation as well as the animals. And you see lots of animals: emus, kangaroos, lizards, echidnas, and also, things like spiders. Never seen a snake out there, actually. Not yet.
Oh wow.
Probably too loud. They keep way away from us. But you can just sit and watch ants even doing their job, just how they work as a team, really. So I find all of that, it's just exciting.
We've talked about what it takes to escape from the crowds, and after this break, we'll look at the difference escaping the crowd makes. Escaping the crowd sounds like a lot of fun. Now, let's have a look at what it means. Rhonda, what does escaping the crowds mean to you, your family, or the community?
Well, it means like we get to see some incredible locations. We get to reset, recharge, which helps us to relax. We get the freedom to explore. We're being spontaneous, and we learn a lot of history about what's happened in Western Australia. A lot of the places that we visit, you might have signs that are telling you about the history of that place. You can also get audiobooks for certain trips that will run you through a story of the lives of people that lived in those areas in previous times. So it can be really interesting and you learn a lot.
Where are the best places for that? When we were talking previously, you mentioned about something to do with a shaking building or something.
Oh, yeah, that's in the Cunderdin Museum. So they have an earthquake house in the museum. What was it, 1980 something, when the Meckering earthquake happened in Western Australia? They developed this little house that simulates that earthquake. So, that's quite interesting. I remember that as a child, actually, that earthquake. And we recently visited some places in Meckering where the homesteads were ruins, and they had a lot of information there about the families that lived there and where they moved to afterwards.
Okay, so and that was all just stuff that you found by on the go, like you just rocked up and saw it was there, or
Well, some of those places are on Wikicamps, which is a really good app for finding those places and giving you information about them as well. But, a lot of the shires, they have these informative boards everywhere. We just recently went to sheepyards, Pagandi sheepyards, and the sheepyards were made of slices of rock. Now, I had an explanation there of how they got these slices of granite rock. It was basically they would make a fire on top of the rock and then pour cold water on it, and the rock would split into slabs, and they used those for the sheep yards.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. Like, how did they work that out?
Yeah, who knew, right, that you could even do that? So some of the engineering that they had back in the day was amazing, really, like how they developed these different things for their own use on farms or, in their communities.
Yeah, that's there's some pretty impressive stuff. We've been watching Tour de France and seeing some of the old churches and forts and what do they call them? Like the villas. There's another word for them. Anyway, so you see them all over the place, and you go, "Oh, this was built in 1200." And one of them was some bridges that were built 2,000 years ago, and the Colosseum in Nimes or something like that. They were built 2,000 years ago, and they had a concert the night that the Tour de France got there. And again, that's all engineering stuff that's beautifully formed arch bridges over gorges 20 metres high or whatever it is. And, it's been a road there for 2,000 years.
Yeah, amazing.
And in the outback, they'll be doing stuff with what's around, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, that's right. They had to use local products to build their homes or build their bridges, make water tanks. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's quite a big part of the excitement, I guess, and the adventure of getting out there.
It is, yeah.
What about some meaning for your family or for the community?
Well, I think it makes family connections stronger when you're out there camping, exploring things, finding things together. Everyone gets their own experience from that, and you have a lot of stories and things around the campfire, which just brings everyone closer together.
You're telling your own story and you're listening to other people's stories?
Yes, that's right. And even though you have close relationships with people, often you don't hear those stories just in your day-to-day living. But when you're out there sitting around a campfire, suddenly everyone's got lots of stories to tell.
And there's time to tell them in a bit more detail.
That's true, yeah. And with the community, we always try and support the remote communities. We fuel up, do some shopping in the local stores, visit their museums. They have some amazing museums that are low cost, interesting people that have lived in the area for years and have a lot of information about the area, the people that live there. So, you can gain a lot of history and a lot of knowledge by speaking to the people in those communities. And, they give us a lot of services and adventures that we can access. And it feels good to give something back as well.
It's always good to give back to a community that's, especially when they're doing something to share their story, I guess.
Yes, and they're encouraging people to explore their area because they want to share it, They have a passion for the area, and they just seem so willing to share that. Sometimes they'll invite you to the local hall for drinks and dancing and everything. They would have like markets and that, and they encourage you to come, and it's nice to do those things, really.
Yeah, I imagine there'd be some interesting markets around the place. The whole barn find thing goes on all around, particularly farming areas, I guess. So I imagine some of the markets could turn up some interesting bits and pieces.
They do. And, there's a lot of those communities that do a lot of craft as well. It's good to support them.
Absolutely.
Mm.
All right. And do you see many other people doing similar things to what you're doing?
We do. If we go to the more well-known camping spots, there may be one or two other people there. So it's good to connect with those people as well because, they're sharing experiences with you. They might give you ideas of other places to go. Yeah, so there's a few people out in the areas that we like to go to. So there's certainly a lot more people that go to the coast, and it's beautiful on the coast as well, but you're not escaping the crowds there.
Oh, yeah, especially everyone being encouraged to holiday in WA there for a little while, and you couldn't get a caravan if you wanted one, and everybody was parked up along the coast to the north.
That's right. Yeah, it's very busy.
Did you get there at all while it was so busy?
We went to our spot that we've been going for 40 odd years, which used to be quite secluded, just a few of the locals knew it, but now it's actually really quite busy. So there are some advantages now because they have toilet facilities and gazebos and that. But yeah, it's not the quiet place it used to be.
Yeah, so with development and people comes the noise, and you're trying to escape that.
That's right. That's our primary goal, to escape the crowd.
All right. So you're clearly not trying to encourage anybody else to get out there.
No, that's right. No, I encourage people to go and find their space.
If you're wanting a quieter journey out to an area where you can relax on your own, it sounds like the wheat belt and the goldfields are still good options.
Yes, they are because they're so vast as well. Like, even if you've got someone in the same area, it's possible that you don't even really see them or hear them because you're not all trying to cramp into the one spot.
Yeah, which the coast tends to get people to do. So
yeah,
escaping the crowds creates closer relationships and expands what we know about our home state of Western Australia. We'll have a break now, and after the break, let's have a look at the steps you took to become a escape artist, I guess. We've heard about what it means to be an escape artist and get away from the madding crowds. Rhonda, how do you escape the crowds?
Well, you can do these trips with any equipment. You just need to be ready to deal with emergencies, like your vehicle getting stuck. So you need a vehicle and a van, in our case, suited to like rough and corrugated roads.
Having a vehicle suitable for those rough roads allows you to actually get to these out-of-the-way places.
Yeah, that's right. And you need to keep your vehicle well maintained because you don't want bits falling off, which can happen at times. Something may rattle loose. So you need to keep it well maintained.
Yeah, I did hear about, I think it was a work colleague talking about driving around the country, and they were just in a station wagon or something back in the day. And I think they lost the bolt out of or the nut off the tow bar or something crazy like that, off the tow ball.
Yeah.
So, yeah, something crazy like that. So they're off in the middle of nowhere with this fairly unique bolt on a vehicle or nut. Had to work out how to get themselves going again.
Yeah, bit of bush mechanics required.
Yes. Luckily, they were up to the task, or they found it, or something. I can't remember exactly, but that you talk about things falling off. Well, this had fallen off their vehicle.
Yeah, that's right. I was watching a video the other day, and they lost the whole spare tyre and bracket off the back of the car.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So you really are looking at conditions that, if you're not prepared for and have some contingencies, you really are in danger of getting stuck.
Yes, you are. And recovery is expensive.
Took you hours to get there. It take them hours to get there. They've got to have a bigger, different vehicle and all that sort of thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you need to keep your setup simple, to keep the weight down, because that means less wear and tear on your vehicle, and being organised so you not have to continually move things around to find what you need, because that can be really frustrating if the dead potato is like under a box, 3 boxes of other gear or something. So it's a really good idea to be organised.
Yes, yeah. You've got to find your own balance of how much you take with you and the more you take with you, the less accessible stuff becomes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And, there's always been a thing, if you're taking something camping, it needs to do more than one job.
Okay, like a hammer.
Yeah.
You see down at the shops sometimes, when they get in all those specials and things, and you see camping pizza ovens.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, if you've got plenty of room and don't mind taking extra weight, otherwise do the pizza oven in your camp oven, because you can do a stew in there as well, or bake a cake, or make some damper, or cook your sausages and your roast chook.
I was listening to another podcast, actually it was the Shed podcast, and they had spoken to a guy who he must have written some or advocating for camp ovens. And yeah, he was talking about some of the things you mentioned about being able to smell when they're ready and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You also, they're a little bit of an art, but once you learn them, you actually can do so much with them.
Well, that's right. And you can use, people traditionally think, you need to use that on the fire, but we've used it quite often on the gas cooktop as well. So, you don't have to build a fire to use it.
Yeah, so you basically got a large cast iron pot with a solid lid on it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
If need be, you can even put the coals from the fire on the top. Is that how you work?
Yes. Yeah, so often you would have coals on the bottom and then put coals on the top as well. So that's how it has the circulation of the camp oven works. So you get even heat all round.
Oh, okay. So
that's especially important if you're baking things. So not so important if you're cooking a stew, although it's still recommended. But, a stew you can just stir every now and then.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So there is a technique to taking the lid off to make sure the ashes don't fall into your dinner, though.
That sounds like a good skill to have.
Yeah.
And do you have a checklist of things that people should get ready before they go?
Yeah, we do. We have a checklist. We always make sure we've got our recovery gear with us, which is like max tracks and a snatch strap, and we have a winch on our vehicle as well, because we don't want too many episodes of getting stuck. Seems like fun sometimes, but not if it goes too long. And then we make sure we've also got like tools to repair things, like electrical bits and pieces, hand tools, power tools. It's amazing how many times you actually need to use them for, just to screw something back or fuse blows or something.
Mm-hmm.
Then we always make sure that we take spares for our vehicle, like hoses and belts and anything that, air filter, and tyre repair kits. So touch wood, we've never had to use any of those things yet, but, we still carry them because guaranteed if we don't have them, we may need to use them.
Like a good umbrella, if you take the umbrella with, you won't need it.
Yeah, that's right. So we take a good quality first aid kit and snake bite kit. They're important things to have. And also like a locator beacon. There's quite a few on the market now, but we use the Spot one. So we can just send a message to say, yay, we're okay. No, we're not okay. We need some help, or SOS. And we take our Starlink as well so that we can use that to communicate with people or, answer emails or anything while we're on the road. So those things are all on our checklist. And then, of course, any food or water that you would like to take. We seem to always take 2 weeks worth of food for a 3-day trip, but, just in case we get stuck or get lucky enough to be able to stay out there longer. And then there's clothing. We always take warm clothing because even during the summer months it can get pretty chilly. We've been to Esperance in January twice, and both times we've been freezing. So glad that that's one of our things, to always take warm clothing. That's like our main checklist. Just make sure we're organised and have what we need.
Yeah, what you need. So you've got a bit of experience doing it, so you understand the types of things that you get up to and what you may or may not use.
Yeah, that's right. The other things we use to find our camp spots, because we like to start looking for a camp spot about 3:00 in the afternoon, and we'll just use like Wiki Camps and Google Maps to find something in our current location, and also use the drone if we need to, if like I don't crash it into a tree. So, to find a good camp spot for the night. One of our mottos is, if it says rock, it's probably a good place to camp.
Okay, why is that?
Well, because at the base of a rock, there's usually some sort of space, and it'd be secluded from, any winds, or there's usually, quite a bit of vegetation there. So it's all nice and green from, water running off the rocks. So, so that's something we learnt early on before any apps or anything. That was, see if you can find a space that says rock on the map, and we'll head towards that.
Well, that's one of those things that, you learnt a long time ago, but not everybody may have learnt that one.
No, that's right.
And then from there, you just get out there and relax. Is that the go?
Yeah, and you need to be a bit flexible so that, because plans can change unexpectedly, roads could be blocked, gates could be shut that you can't get through. You just have to be flexible and just go with the flow, really.
Well, you're exploring and you've got everything with you. It's not like you're driving out and back to do something. You're like a turtle. You've got everything with you.
That's right. Yeah, not lacking for anything.
So escaping the crowd seems achievable for many people and has some great rewards. Thank you for sharing your experience of escaping the crowds, Rhonda. And from all Forest.chat listeners, we wish you all the best in your future endeavours.
Thank you, Paul. I hope Forest.chat listeners can benefit from my experience and find a way to escape the crowds.
You've been listening to Forest.chat, where we talk about individual endeavour in Western Australia, what it takes, what it means, and how you do it. I'm your host, Paul Vandermeer, and in today's episode we talked with Rhonda Finnie about escaping the crowds. Remember, there are 4 ways you can get involved with Forest.chat. Share the domain Forest.chat with your friends and family and people you meet. Listen to the published episodes at forest.chat/episodes. Book an interview at forest.chat/interview. Book an advert at forest.chat/advert. I'm looking forward to joining you with our next interview. Until next time, enjoy making it happen.